to talk about global trends here and how it works outside of our nice little bubble here in Alberta. Some really significant numbers there. You can see 250 billion was committed to construction new renewable power plants in 2016. And in comparison to fossil fuel fired generation, which was 114 billion last year, we accounted for 64% of the total amount of new generation, which, I mean, we're in a tsunami here. It affects everyone globally. Alberta, not so much, but there are so many supportive pressures up here is what I call it, that renewables can no longer be ignored in Alberta, and they aren't. This slide blows me away. Every time I present this thing, it absolutely blows me away, because 75 gigawatts of solar capacity was added worldwide. So to put it in perspective, and this is what blows me away, and our project, when we get it going, is going to blow me away as well. But 31,000 solar panels are installed every hour. Now, had lunch today with a good friend of mine. He was at a disruptive technology session, and I was talking to Duff about this. Who leads the way? Well, one of the biggest abusers, right? China. China leads the way in installation of solar capacity. They're turning down 306 coal-fired plants next year, but they still have thousands and thousands to come. The economics in China are preventing them to go solar. But look at that number, right? 303 gigawatts. It's huge. Jobs. What does it mean? Why is it disruptive technology? There's 9.8 million jobs associated with renewable energy. You can see the breakout there in bioenergy, geothermal, solar, wind. And you can see solar taking a big piece of that. In fact, 12% of renewables, 3.1 million jobs were added to the renewable energy pool in 2016. You can't ignore it. The numbers are too big. So, my hero, Tony Seba. So Tony Seba, he trots around the globe and he talks about disruptive technologies, and he talks about, okay, what are the legs of the chair that you need in order to identify disruptive technology? He's big on autonomous vehicles right now. He's also huge on solar, and for a couple of reasons. Here's the biggest, and he equates it to the S-curve comparison, is that the cost of solar from 1976 to 2013, and in fact, if you look at our CapEx budget, we're below 33 cents per watt, has come down by 303%. It's insane. Let's look at the efficiencies, right? 1960, you're at a 14% efficiency in PV cells. It's ignored. 1992, we better pay attention. 15.89 out of South Florida. And then it really hits its stride in 2015. That's why it's a disruptive technology. So now you're looking at 18. Today, our solar efficiencies that we're looking at right now are peaking out at about 2021, I'm going to say, which makes the economics of the project viable. And that's the big difference. Here's the kicker. Battery and storage. So that's, projects right now aren't getting financed, right? Especially wind. Solar, we produce during peak consumption times, right? So we know we're getting the solar kicker. That helps us out for our revenues. It's a good thing. Once you incorporate battery storage, right, then you can contribute to the grid. Peak consumption times. The final leg of the four-legged stool, who's going to buy your energy? These guys. They have a vision, they have a culture, they have a clear direction, and they have clear, not government mandates, these are measurable, clear goals where they're heading to renewable energy over the next 10, 15, 20, 5, 2, 3 years. $5 trillion market cap. I think you got some customers there. So, this what makes it a disruptive technology. You've got costs coming down substantially, you've got efficiency in technology, you've got battery storage, and you've got buyers. You've got the perfect storm there. And when I get in front of investors, everyone gets it outside of Alberta. Everyone really gets it. We have companies from Germany looking at investing in our company, right? We have a lot of companies out of the US looking. We've got people in Quebec looking at our company. We have 2 investors out of South Korea looking at our company and our project. So everyone gets it. I just wish Alberta would get it a little bit quicker. So what's happening in Alberta? Investor in TransAlta. This slide is pulled directly from the investor presentation, third quarter investor presentation, August 12th. And it shows their plan. Can you imagine Dawn Farrell? She's sitting at her board meeting, and the NDPs have literally pulled her business out from underneath her. You got to retire your coal. Can you imagine? You got shareholders, right? How do you fix that? Here's her plan, bit of her plan. She's forced to retire her coal plants, right? So she's got Sundance Unit 1, retired 2018, 2019. She's got the conversions of Sundance 3 to 6 and Keithels in the future, 2021. She sees renewables, first 400 of the REC program for the government of Alberta, the next 400, but this is the big piece that she's wanting, 4,200. And she's identified that in her vision to the future. And the only thing that I want to point out with this slide, TransAlta believes that it's a $10 billion market here in Alberta. They're the tail that wags the dog. This isn't my information. It's TransAlta, right? So I'm kind of thinking, we got a good gig here. Another positive influence for the project. So because TransAlta is the tail that wags the dog, they affect the commodity position, right? She came out, her last, I was just reading the transcripts, she is now going to present 50% of their generation to spot over the next, I don't know the terms, so I won't even go there. But what she's betting on is that the market is going to increase, and she's holding back 50% of her generation just to throw it into the spot market, right? She knows she's retiring. She knows how much she's retiring, generation that is. So she's made it publicly known. This is what I'm doing. We get all of our information from a company, a marketing company called Eureka. They're fantastic. We've been dealing with them for a long time. Because you can get the ISO forward curve, 5 years, and it's okay. It's okay. But I can't build a business plan off that, right? So I have the experts running the numbers for me. And this is conservative in their world. Now, what other buckets of revenue is there that will make solar successful in Alberta? Well, we've got the carbon tax, 20, 30, 50 times. In our case, part of our secret sauce is our location. We're located 10 kilometers from a substation, and we're going to be generating a peak capacity. So we get something called option M credits from the ISO, because we take load off the grid. So that's part of our secret sauce. And that is kind of the kicker that at least gets me in the door to talk to investors, right? Because if you just come in there on commodity, you're dead. Everyone get that? So let's talk about us. Medicine Hat, we have enough land, it's our land, for 110 megawatts, 745 acres, we're 10 kilometers southwest. Photovoltaic potential. This slide, love the colors, right? Global leader in solar. Not too good. Medicine Hat, real good. Ontario, Canadian leader, real good. What's the difference? We have flat land, pool table flat land. Our land is tilled. Our land is real close to infrastructure. We're not digging in tundra. We're not putting cement pilings, huge cement pilings in, right? We don't have to. Our engineering on the soil came back, and it's a good thing. So here's our land. This is a Google shot of our land with our first phase of our first 40 megawatts. The family orphaned some of and this high value land, orphaned some of the land for the St. Mary's Canal. So we can build phase 1 here. The dots show the infrastructure. So we've got 25 kV running straight to our land. That's we've already invested in. So good thing, right? We've also patented. This is an irrigation plot, right? Everyone's flown over Medicine Hat area, you see the irrigation circles. So what SolAgra's done is we've gone out and we've got a patent for all the corners. That's 7.5 acres. Out of the 7.5 acres, we can produce at current capacity, we can produce 1.5 megawatts out of the corners, and we patented that. And after we're done building phase 1 and phase 3, our goal is to go out to the agri community, and SolAgra the name, and talk about how do we use this wasted land. If you drive down there, and if there's any farmers in the area, they know there's maybe a homestead here, they've got rusted combines here, pipes, whatever, right? But you can make some real nice revenue off of that wasted land. Here's our next section of land. Now, we do need to build new infrastructure. It's not as simple as that for the whole project, and those costs come into play. But it fits very nicely into the financial model. So what are our business advantages? We've got real nice, comfortable, double-digit returns over 20 years. The investment community that likes this are our lifecos, right? We've developed a royalty play. So some of the royalty folks, even here in Calgary, love this project. We've got a capex that's 25% lower than any other solar project in Canada, just because of our location in the land. We've got the acres. We've got the sunlight. We have no opposition from stakeholders. There's 5 stakeholders that we've gotten approval from, but they're family. So it's a good thing. We comply with Cypress County bylaws. We walk into Cypress County and they love us because we're now rezoned for agribusiness, and our tax payment goes up. And it goes up quite substantially. That's okay. Fits real nice in the business model. We're not first line in the queue, but we're second line in the queue to qualify for the option M credits, which is real. You can quantify that, and we have in our formula, we have an option M, we have 2 option M reports. This thing spits out in option M revenue, which is significant. It gets you over this crap market we're in right now. And the nice thing, right? Reduces gas house emissions. So talking about 2% and ICE engines, internal combustion, we can take 12,000 cars off the road, right? We can power 6,082 houses. But I'm not here, and Laszlo pointed this out. Laszlo's from the University of Calgary, and Emma, thanks for coming. We do a mentorship partnership with the U of C. And Laszlo's like, well, you know, Kurt, a lot of these presentations, they're there to greenwash you. That was a good one. Instead of brainwash, greenwash. I'm not here to greenwash you. I'm here to say this is real. This is happening around us. And we're in the middle of it in a prime location. So it's an investment opportunity. It's got lots of long-term investment, attractive returns. We've developed it with a tax incentive. Believe it or not, renewables qualify for something called flow-through shares. And if you're an old guy like me, I'm the only one in my family not in oil and gas. Oil and gas uses it, this junior exploration company, for tax advantages, right? So you get to write off your investment. We positioned it where you get a 45% write-off first year, 55% write-off. So you're playing with the house's money, right? The legal opportunities. We were approached by a law firm quite some time ago who parachuted some of their folks in and said, here's what we can help you with. It touches every aspect of the legal firm, right? And John's here from Internet. He's our legal counsel right now. Thanks for showing up, John. Appreciate it. But this is how it's going to impact everyone, and not just legal, right? So I get passionate about this stuff because it's real. Financially, it's viable.